I'm sure you've heard the news. The small town of Ravenswood has been buzzing with whispers and rumours. A chilling tale has gripped the hearts of its residents, leaving them in a state of unease and fear. The story of Elize and her terrifying encounter has become the stuff of local legend, a midnight mystery that has left everyone questioning the boundaries between reality and the supernatural. But did you know about Eliza's terrifying encounter? It all began on a cold, moonless night when the air was thick with an unsettling silence. Eliza, a young woman known for her adventurous spirit and insatiable curiosity, found herself drawn to the old abandoned house on the outskirts of town. The house had long been a source of fear and fascination for the townsfolk, with stories of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena circulating for decades. Let me tell you, Eliza had always been intrigued by the unknown, and the house seemed to call to her, beckoning her to uncover its secrets. Despite the warnings from friends and family, she decided to explore the house, determined to prove that the stories were nothing more than figments of overactive imaginations. In a small town deep in the woods lies an abandoned house shrouded in mystery. The house stood as a silent sentinel, its once grand facade now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. The windows, dark and empty, seemed to watch the world with a malevolent gaze. The front door, weathered and warped, creaked ominously in the wind, as if whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. Locals whisper about eerie lights, chilling whispers and shadows that move on their own. They speak of strange occurrences that defy explanation. Lights flickering in the dead of night, disembodied voices echoing through the halls, and shadowy figures that vanish as quickly as they appear. The house had a reputation for being a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thin, and where the past refused to rest. Curious and brave, Eliza decided to explore. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and her unwavering determination, she set out on her journey. The night was still, the only sound the crunch of leaves beneath her feet as she made her way through the forest. The closer she got to the house, the more the air seemed to thicken, as if the very atmosphere was charged with an unseen energy. Just before midnight, she arrived. The house loomed before her, its dark silhouette stark against the night sky. Eliza took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. She reached out and grasped the cold iron handle of the front door, her heart pounding in her chest. The door creaked open, and the musty air greeted her. The smell of decay and neglect filled her nostrils, a stark reminder of the house's long abandonment. She stepped inside, the floorboards groaning under her weight. The beam of her flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing a scene frozen in time. Dust danced in her flashlight's beam. The particles seemed to shimmer and swirl, creating an almost ethereal glow. Eliza moved cautiously, her senses on high alert. Every creak and groan of the house seemed amplified in the silence, each sound sending a shiver down her spine. Old family portraits seemed to follow her every move. The eyes in the paintings, once vibrant and full of life, now seemed hollow and haunting. They watched her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. Eliza couldn't shake the feeling that she was being observed, that the house itself was aware of her presence. In the living room, a grandfather clock ticked, struck at midnight. The sound was rhythmic and relentless, a constant reminder of the passage of time. Yet the hands of the clock were frozen, forever marking the witching hour. Eliza felt a chill run down her spine as she realized that time itself seemed to have stopped within these walls. Despite her dread, Eliza descended a narrow staircase to the basement, filled with furniture draped in white sheets. The basement was a cavernous space, the air thick with dust and the scent of mildew. The furniture, once elegant and opulent, now stood as ghostly sentinels, shrouded in white like spectres from another time. Eliza's flashlight cast long, eerie shadows on the walls, creating an atmosphere of foreboding. At the far end, an oddly placed mirror drew her in. The mirror was large and ornate, its frame intricately carved with symbols and designs that seemed almost otherworldly. It stood out among the other items in the basement, as if it had a significance that Eliza couldn't quite grasp. She felt an inexplicable pull towards it, a compulsion to uncover whatever secrets it held. Heart pounding, she uncovered it. The sheet fell away, revealing the mirror's surface. It was surprisingly clean, the glass smooth and unblemished. Eliza stared at her reflection, her face pale and eyes wide, with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She couldn't shake the feeling that the mirror was more than just a piece of furniture, that it was a portal to something beyond her understanding. In the reflection, a shadowy figure stood behind her. She spun around. Nothing. The room was empty, the only sound her own ragged breathing. She turned back to the mirror, her heart racing. The figure was gone, but the sense of unease remained. Elize felt as if she was being watched, as if the mirror itself was alive and aware of her presence. Back at the mirror, it was closer. Panicking, she fled upstairs. Her footsteps echoed through the house as she raced up the stairs, her mind a whirlwind of fear and confusion. She reached the top, her breath coming in short, frantic gasps. The house seemed to close in around her, the walls pressing in as if trying to trap her within its dark embrace. The door was sealed tight. She tugged at the handle, her fingers slipping on the cold metal. The door wouldn't budge no matter how hard she pulled. It was as if the house itself was conspiring to keep her inside, to prevent her from escaping its clutches. Eliza's panic grew, her mind racing with thoughts of what might happen if she couldn't get out. Her cries were swallowed by the house. The walls seemed to absorb the sound, muting her screams and leaving her in a suffocating silence. Elize felt a wave of despair wash over her, the realization that she was truly alone sinking in. The house was a living entity, a malevolent force that thrived on fear and despair. The clock's ticking grew louder, faster, then stopped. The sudden silence was deafening, a stark contrast to the relentless ticking that had filled the air moments before. Elize felt a chill run down her spine, the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end. She knew that something was coming, something that she couldn't see but could feel with every fibre of her being. A cold hand touched her shoulder. She turned, face to face with the figure from the mirror, its eyes dark voids, mouth a silent scream. The figure was more terrifying up close, its presence overwhelming and suffocating. Elize felt a wave of terror wash over her mind struggling to comprehend what she was seeing. The figure's eyes were empty, black voids that seemed to suck in all light and hope. She tried to run, but the house twisted, trapping her in a labyrinth. The hallways seemed to stretch and warp, leading her in circles and dead ends. Every turn brought her back to the same place, the same mirror with the shadowy figure growing ever closer. Eliza's fear turned to desperation as she realized that there was no escape, that the house had her in its grip. Every door led back to the mirror, the shadow inching closer each time. The figure's presence was oppressive, its silent scream echoing in her mind. Elize felt her strength waning, her will to fight slipping away. She knew that she couldn't keep running, that the house would eventually claim her as it had so many others before. By morning, Elize was gone. The house was silent once more, its secrets hidden away in the darkness. The townsfolk searched for her, but there was no trace. It was as if she had vanished into thin air, swallowed by the house and its malevolent presence. The only clue to her fate was the mirror, now standing in the front yard, its glass clear except for Eliza's terrified reflection. The only change, the mirror, now in the front yard, its glass clear, except for Eliza's terrified reflection. The townsfolk whispered of her fate, the story of Elize becoming a cautionary tale for those who dared to venture too close to the house. Some claimed to see her face in the mirror at midnight, her eyes wide with fear and her mouth open in a silent scream. Some say, at midnight if you dare to look, you might see her desperate face staring back. The legend of Elize and the haunted house became a part of Ravenswood's history, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. The house remained abandoned, a dark and foreboding presence on the edge of town, and the mirror with its haunted reflection stood as a testament to the power of the unknown and the mysteries that lay just beyond the veil of reality. The story of Elize serves as a warning to all who hear it, a reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved, and that the line between the living and the dead is thinner than we might think. So if you ever find yourself in Ravenswood and you feel the pull of the old abandoned house, remember Elize's tale. And if you dare to look into the mirror at midnight, be prepared to face the darkness that lies within.